is like, especially with your work, is, this is lessons that you've learned again and again over years to the point where you've perfected it. And maybe not be as conscious as that, because it's not like, oh, I'm studying this down to the ground, because you pretty much do everything. Like you said, you do a little bit of guitaring, a little bit of this, but these are lessons that you built over failures, over successes, and all of that over years. And and it's admirable in that retrospect, I think.
I am a creative person, and I don't care how I'm creative. It's as though when I'm at home, not yesterday, but the day before, I spent probably 9 hours playing guitar when I should have been doing other things. But I spent 9 hours because what happened was, the night before, I got a spark of enthusiasm that came to me for a certain set of chords.
Yeah.
The following day, I made the fatal mistake of walking into the front room and picking up my Gretsch electric guitar, playing it through my lovely Fender amp, and before I knew it, it was 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and outpoured a whole set of chords and combinations that got me thinking all day. And I was downstairs later on making a sandwich, and all I'm doing is my mind is just drifting in and out of these chord sequences. Now, okay, this is a camera podcast, but what I'm saying is that when you have these moments of very fluid creativity, what happens is that everything around you becomes unimportant, and you will flow through everything. So if I go shopping, or if I'm just doing day-to-day stuff, like I've been gardening a lot this week as well. My garden's a nightmare, but I'm there floating through the creative process as if the more I do this, the higher that I'll soar at higher altitudes, and day-to-day stuff becomes less direct. In other words, I don't collide with things like, oh, I've got to go shopping. Oh, I've got to, and all the sort of like, I've got to keep going over hurdles. I'm flying around up here. Yeah. It's as though I can just observe it while I know I have to do it, and it's not like I don't do any washing up, or I don't go to the supermarket.
Sounds like you're saying that your missus is watching this now, being like,
right.
Do you know what, that dude?
That explains a lot.
That explains a lot.
But what we're saying is that the more that you can stay at this higher altitude in the creative realm, and I have to say this, uninterrupted, and I don't mean uninterrupted by all of a sudden you have to go and do a load of stuff, but just uninterrupted in a relative sense.
Yeah.
And what happens is your ideas become so much better thought out.
Yeah.
Your creative process becomes so much more in tune with your emotions.
That's really interesting.
And you don't end up in this situation where you just feel as though that, right, I've got all this stuff done, I've got to go out with my camera and I have to go out and be creative somehow. Yeah. That's forcing it. What you want to do is you want to change your life and your thought patterns and many other things so that your brain is just literally floating around in this creative altitude. Yeah. And if you can do that, and if you can stay there, and it's not easy to stay there, believe me, because things do collide with you that you have no choice in the matter of trying to work around or work through. The fact is that your ideas will be so much faster and cleaner. And then when you see something, a visual thing or an audio thing in that case this week, what will happen is that you'll be able to react so much quicker, and you'll have so much of a stronger emotional concept with what it is that you're doing that then comes out in the way that people look at your stuff. It doesn't mean that I'm on the camera all the time. Doesn't mean I'm out shooting all the time, because I'm not like sitting there like a mad pianist doing masses of scales, feeling if I don't do these scales I'm going to lose it. It's not that. What it is that you're creating this sanctuary in your head where everything's safe and everything's cool, and you can just think about things and you're not interrupted, and you can get these ideas and port them through and write them down. Write down ideas. I'm always making audio notes and sticking notes on my iPhone and things. Just things so I don't lose stuff, because these ideas come a lot. It's like, Radiohead. I'm just this radar spinning, and I pick up all these ideas. And you've got to write them down, because if you don't, they will go and they'll pass, and your ideas will change as something else comes into your life. And you know what I mean? There's a lot of what would be the word? Processing or
Yeah.
that's going on with all this. That's got nothing to do with cameras at all. It's
Yeah.
about the creative process.
So it's more about your personal creative process than it is about and I agree, because you did say this isn't a camera podcast. I very much view it as kind of like a study on creativity in general, because everyone has their journey when it comes to creativity. Yes, it does have a focus on the camera aspect of it, but I think, and what I'm finding completely fascinating by what you're talking about, is literally the creative process to you is different from somebody else, and what you've done is focus more on you being a creative as a whole and how to make that efficient for your life and how to get better, essentially.
Yeah,